Crosshair placement is a term that has been overkilled in the Valorant community as to how to improve in Valorant and increase in rank. In this video, I want to go ahead and VOD review a VOD review made by another popular YouTuber of a Silver 3 Viper player in Bind, and I want to talk about how they could have improved their gameplay in other ways outside of just crosshair placement that was mentioned in the video, because with that kind of feedback, it just seems like it's like, hey, you need to aim better, whereas like, yeah, that's a good, I guess, point that, you know, improving crosshair placement can make you aim better, but that's not actually going to improve your gameplay, because even with insane crosshair placement, if you're just sitting on site and you don't understand map strategy, you're just going to get util dumped, blinded, smoked, etc. And most of the time, even with that insane crosshair placement, it might amount to nothing, as you're just going to get flashed, spammed, and just dead, right? So I want to go ahead and talk about the things that I find are important, and I want to make sure that it's emphasized in this video that this is not me raging or like attacking the other person who VOD reviewed. It's just a difference of opinion, and I do respect the work that they put out, as well as I'm not trying to discredit their work in any way, shape, or form. So let's get into it. So the first feedback that was given was, as Viper, you should be avoiding fights, and your util is really important as a controller, so you should always stay alive. That sounds good on paper, but what's really important is that you know how to play your role in defense, and knowing that you can't avoid fights, but rather you want to go ahead and use your duelists who don't provide that much good utility. Their only value on defense is to poke and prod for information and then get refragged, basically, if they don't have a successful like first contact. Meaning if they die in first contact, you as a controller want to refrag, want to get the trade to, you know, secure control in that position. So let's go ahead and talk about powerful positions on Bind and where to fight, and just general map strategy. So from my general experience, Skye and Raze have been pretty popular agents on this map, so I'm going to just go ahead and set up a scenario for you guys so that you can go ahead and follow and see the point I'm trying to make. So let's go ahead and pretend that the defending Viper goes ahead and puts a wall in showers, right? So I'm going to go ahead and clear the drawings, and I'm going to draw it on the minimap too. So we're going to have a Viper wall on showers for the defenders, and we're going to pretend the opposing team has a Raze and Skye on attack, and they're right outside showers. They're trying to fight and take control of showers. So if there's no Viper wall here, they don't really have to use any util to go ahead and take the front part of showers, and then they can maybe take a flash around the corner and then clear like the entirety of showers, right? But since there is a Viper wall here, think about the utility they have to use, as well as the information you get just from hearing the utility as the defending Viper. So if there is a wall here, let's say the Raze goes ahead and Roombas here, right? If the Viper just shows presence and breaks the boom bot, then, and falls off after, if they still want to fight for showers, they're going to have to use even more util to go ahead and try and take control of showers. So let's say we do break the boom bot, the Viper wall is still here, and let's say Skye is going to assist in going ahead and try and take control of showers with Raze, right? She either dogs from here and tries and clears showers with the dog, or she flashes and clears part of showers, and it's kind of more dangerous with the flash, so most guys will go ahead and try and dog it, right? So there's a big difference in Skye using dog in showers from here, instead of like, let's say you give up showers and they use it from the front part of showers, because guess what? If the players are scaled up short on the attacking team and they're taking control of showers as well, if the dog comes from showers, the front side of showers, and someone's playing on site, they get concussed and util dumped on site, and it's much harder to come back from that, because they're either concussed or they're shooting a dog, and someone's either peeking while you're shooting the dog from either short or showers, or you're just concussed and you end up dying. So that's the importance of going ahead and getting the util before they reach a certain point. So I'm going to go ahead and draw where I think the point is, and where, you know, many teams in the professional scene thinks the point is. But here, like, right, from the front side of showers, the front side of short, the front side of hookah, and of course the front side of long. So let's go ahead and show you the Viper and the Silver VOD review we're doing, their setup, and talk about why I think their setup can use a lot of work. The thing that was mentioned was that the Viper setup is good. They had their wall like this, actually, and I disagree with that completely. If you watch pro play, if you watch high radiant lobbies, the Viper wall always has a meaning. So, for instance, in this case, if you Viper wall like this and have control of showers, what that means basically is you don't have to hard hold it, but there is that threat and that pressure and presence in showers that the attackers have to consider. So now, let's say they just walk through it and you're holding it. They die, right? They have no flashes, they die, right? The other thing is, like, if they do use a flash and you're not holding it, you get the information, which is super important as to who's where on the map. Reyna flashes, Skye flashes, Skye is outside showers. So you get to relay that information, and you can send one more defender back from B to A if you get that information, as well. Like, for instance, also if you have information in short, right? So it's like really important that information is super key when you're using your utility. And now I want to talk about this wall, which is also what I disagree with. Like, they mentioned that this wall is a good wall, but it's actually a really bad wall because you're denying information for your B players as to who's on hookah. And the proper way to do this is actually to wall a little bit further in front. So let's say that they have Raze, which is really popular in the map of Bind, and they're like using a Roomba. You can break it to show presence in hookah, and then you can drop out after, but it's denying that information, so they have to use even more util to take control of hookah, right? Because otherwise, you could be in there with a shotgun, and then they, because they're like, oh, they broke it, they might be baiting for someone, right? So if you get more util out, even more, right? That means you can't get util dumped on site, on B site, right? Because you got their util in hookah. So now they're hit. They don't have the proper util to hit without there being util that you can like even throw back in response to deal with their hit, right? So it's like really important to think about this. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next piece of feedback that I saw, which was, hey, I would have done the same exact thing. And I highly doubt that they would have done the same exact thing in a Radiant game, but I want to go ahead and pull emphasis into this. So like whenever you're put into this situation, you'll see the Viper come out and swing, and they're in a 5v3 already, right? So if they do want to swing, they should always try and do it with a flash or util and try and like use their teammates to do it so that there's at least a trade to happen. But then again, is it necessary to do this in a 5v3? Probably not, right? But if they do want to do it, they just don't run out blind and do this, for instance, right? And the feedback that was given was, hey, I don't blame you, I would have done this in the same exact scenario, right? And yeah, that's just a mistake. You can't do that. So the proper way to do it is, if you want to do it, then go ahead and use your teammates. Flash for me here. I want to go ahead and swing. Or sit back in U-Haul and say, hey, Reyna, play in U-Haul. I'm going to play outside of U-Haul, and I'm going to swing in U-Haul off of your contact. Because guess what? I'm going to go ahead and rewind right here. Let's say Reyna comes back after this kill and tucks here, which is what she's doing, and the Viper plays right outside. If they try and clear Reyna, their backs and their side will be turned to Viper, right? Because they're looking at this angle, and then Viper's swinging from the back, right? So they won't be looking at her. Their attention won't be on her, so she's just swinging off the Reyna's contact. So that's how I would play it ideally, and I think that's how the Viper should play it ideally, but just kind of brushing these kind of mistakes off, it's kind of a big deal. Because like, if you think about it here, I'm going to go ahead and play out the rest of the round. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. They're in a 1v4 now. They almost threw a 5v3. The Sage rezzed, and this is a super losable round, but thankfully Brim does have his Brimstone ult. So he's able to go ahead and clutch it out with the Brimstone ult. They don't have time, and he didn't have a Molly lineup either, but think about it. If he didn't have his ultimate here, they threw this round, right? They threw this round, and not only that, but they're kind of throwing their eco as well. So it's something that, again, should not be overlooked and should really be, held accountable for the person who's playing the game to go ahead and improve. This is the other thing I feel that was overlooked, and it's knowing when to go ahead and play lineups versus when not to play lineups, right? So whenever you're playing lineups, it's very important to know the value in terms of damage and duration in accordance to your mollies, right? So for instance, in Viper's case, her mollies do 132 damage. So if someone can actually just sit on the molly and full stick the bomb without dying, and that's why you need the Viper orb on the bomb to combo with your mollies so that they can't just full stick the bomb. So it's really important to know that, and it's also important to know, again, when exactly to do it. If the opponent is playing 5-man retake, full retake, you probably should not play lineups, because guess what? They're going to fast retake with 5, and guess what? If you're back, it's a 5v4 retake, right? Because that means you're really relying on your team to buy you the time to go ahead and play lineups, right? So let's say they just trade out, and there's 2 people alive, since they trade out perfectly and you're far back. then guess what? You're still going to be like 20 plus seconds left on the clock, and you're not able to play lineups because, again, your mollies don't last that long, and then you're going to end up having to like run across the map to try and like stop them from defusing the bomb, and they can always get half even with the orb on your lineup. So if you wait for taps, that's going to be a very hard situation to be in. So it's very important to like really kind of dissect how to play lineups and when to do it, and that comes with experience, but it's also coming from like knowing your micro and knowing the amount of damage that the lineups do or the mollies do on the lineups, and when exactly to time it in accordance to if they're rotating or if they're fast retaking or how to do it, right? So it's really important to go ahead and in VOD reviews to really like dissect that and really analyze how to fix that and how to go ahead and see if your timings are correct, okay? So I feel that that was very overlooked, and hopefully that does help the player in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look from the coach's perspective in one of his Radiant games and kind of compare it to the student's game to kind of get my point across about map strategy and how it's just as important as crosshair placement, and it's often way overlooked, okay? So we're going to go ahead and play out the clip right now, and I'm going to go ahead and break down what's happening. So first things first, let's talk about what's happening on the map and the setup that's going on right now. So you'll see Skye dogging for showers alone right now to try and take control of showers, right? And you'll see that the Viper puts her wall and her orb here. So the point of the utility, let's talk about it, okay? So Skye is dogging showers to try and see the information that's in showers and to try and take control, because if no one's there, no one breaks the dog, she can go ahead and take control of showers, right? And at the same time, the people short, they have their Viper wall here, so it's smoking the cross so they can walk up and get to this orb. And the orb's going to be up at the same time as the wall, but as soon as they scale up past the teleporter, they can drop the orb and try and fight for control of U-Haul, right? Of this part of the map. So that's kind of the map strategy with, the utility they have running right now. And let's go ahead and break down what actually happens and see how they actually lose this. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen here. So as you see, they start to scale up with the Viper wall. They break the chamber trap. And at the same time, I'm not sure if you caught that. I will rewind it a little bit. I'm going to pause so you guys can see the minimap. The dog is broken by Rays and showers. Skye flashes to try and take control of showers on the minimap, you can see. And now you'll see the double peek from Rays, who's taking first contact and chamber. Now this is very important because this kind of goes back to the other thing I was talking about with the feedback with, hey, as controller, you need to stay alive. And it's kind of the same with Sentinel. You need to stay alive, sure, but you can't avoid fights. You have to use the duelist to take first contact, because if you think about it, duelists don't have any type of utility that really helps that much on defense as to like chamber traps or let's say Vipers in that position, Viper wall, orb, mollies, right? They need to stay alive and not take first contact. So that piece of advice is kind of true, but you really need to think about it's much more deeper than that. It's not avoiding fights, it's making sure that you use your teammates and make sure that you're taking proper fights. So now, as a result of this, let's go ahead and see. They go ahead and kill the Skye in showers, and they maintain control of showers. And at the same time, Reyna's pushing short, and even though she gets this kill on Jet, she's traded out from showers. So because they maintain control of showers, and as a result of this, they control showers, they control U-Haul still, and they have man advantage now. So the defending team can play a retake if they want to, and they can also take a lot of map control based on the information that they get. So what I mean by that is, let's say they do end up pushing U-Haul, the attackers, after the Reyna dies, the showers people can just reflank through showers, through back of showers, right, and come back through short, or they can go ahead and help, by watching the cross or whatever it may be, right? So there are a lot of options that they can do here. And let's say they do end up rotating the B, the defending team can just play retake with man advantage, right? And now they have really good util for the retake. They have Sova Dart, they have Brim Smokes, they have the Chamber Trip to know if they do end up rotating. So they have a lot of utility still to go ahead and figure out what their next move is, right? And more importantly, they have Manad. So this is something that I really wanted to go ahead and really emphasize, is that crosshair placement is important, but if you don't understand map strategy and you're just sitting backside and just holding and you're not poking and prodding for information and you don't understand what positions on the map are super valuable, it doesn't matter how good your crosshair placement is, because guess what? If you get flash, stunned, concussed, and you're just like sitting back sight, right? You're not going to get a chance to use that crosshair placement. So my point is, like, crosshair placement is super important, but it is not the end all be all. You need to understand how to use that crosshair placement and where to use that crosshair placement, or it doesn't matter. I've met so many good players, you know, in plat in terms of like aim, who probably aim better than me, right? And I'm Immortal 3. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's irrelevant. You need to really focus on map strategy and understanding the game.